Hi guys, and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron, and welcome back to day 2, another live stream. It is the game preview ahead of Everton's Premier League fixture against Arsenal tomorrow evening at the Emirates Stadium. Another Friday night game for Everton Football Club, coming off the back of our last fixture against the other North London club, Tottenham Hotspur. That was also last Friday, of course. 2-2 draw at Goodison Park. We spoke about that one on Monday afternoon. A better performance by all accounts, but still not a fantastic result. Certainly not a great result in this fight for Europe and this challenge for Europe, and also not a fantastic result when you think of the goals that we conceded in that game. We really did hand Tottenham Hotspur the point on that day, and we should have taken all 3 points. But we go against Arsenal now tomorrow evening, and it's going to be a difficult one. It is going to be a difficult one, but ultimately it's another game that Everton should be looking at winning. It's another game that Everton should be aiming to take all 3 points, and we haven't won now in over 3 games, 3 draws on the bounce, with Palace, Brighton and Tottenham all being draws, and it's about time Everton turn up and get a win again. You know, we haven't seen 3 points for what feels like a long time. Obviously the world of football has been thrown into all sorts of madness over the last sort of 48, 72 hours or so, Arsenal being at the forefront of that, one of those 6 clubs of course that agreed to go and leave to the European Super League. That's all fell to bits now. That's all just completely crumbled. Didn't last very long, did it? I think it probably lasted shorter than, I don't know. I think someone said Gary Neville's Valencia career, which I thought was quite funny, but it didn't last very long whatsoever. We are going to do a live stream within the next coming days or so regarding the European Super League again, and whether or not these clubs should be punished, or rather how big should the punishment be for these clubs, because I think we all understand that they should be punished. But you know what, before we get into anything on this preview, I just want to say fair play to the Arsenal fans. I've seen a lot of different groups of fans from those 6 clubs protesting over the last 48, 72 hours or so, Arsenal being sort of at the forefront of that and protesting outside the Emirates, I believe. So big well done to the Arsenal fans for standing up and showing that, what Stan Kroenke did along with the 5 other greedy billionaires isn't okay, and trying to actively get Stan Kroenke out of the club. I know the majority of Arsenal fans aren't happy with Kroenke's ownership and would like him to be removed, or would like him to leave the club. So fair play to the Arsenal fans, massive respect to them for turning up and showing their sort of frustration towards the Arsenal board for even agreeing to go into such a Super League. But now it falls another Premier League game, and like I said, it feels mad talking about games of football now, because football was sort of so up in the air over the last couple of days or so, and everything's been very uncertain, and we don't know what's going to happen, and we still don't know what's going to happen in regards to those 6 clubs that agreed to go and join the European Super League. Will they be allowed to play in the UEFA competitions next season? Probably, because UEFA haven't got the balls to do anything about it. Will they be deducted points in the Premier League this season? Probably not, because the Premier League are very similar. They haven't got the balls to do anything about it. So as far as Everton are concerned, this is just another game of football, and this is another game of football not even taking into consideration what's gone on over the last couple of days or so, and it's another game that we ultimately have to turn up with the mentality and with the mindset that we need a win. It is away from home, of course. Everton have got a very good away record this season. We haven't lost many games whatsoever away from home, and even the games in which we have lost, they've been against sort of, relatively decent sides. I know we lost to Manchester United, we lost to Chelsea away from home as well. I know that we haven't won for a few weeks. Obviously the game against Brighton was away, and that was a terrible performance. It was a terrible game of football to watch altogether. But going into this one, I have got quite a little bit of confidence, given the fact that we're away from home, and the fact that we're coming up against a side that we know we have to perform against. Everton know they can't turn up and adopt the same style as we did against Brighton, because ultimately the reason we took a point from the Brighton game was because Brighton just didn't have anywhere near enough quality to hurt Everton. The reason we took a point from the game against Crystal Palace is because we didn't have enough quality going forward. We didn't take our chances. Tottenham Hotspur was a little bit of a different scenario, wasn't it, really? We were much better. We sort of felt it comfortable on the ball. I thought we were pressing Tottenham Hotspur quite high. We were attacking them. We were getting at them. We were forcing them into making mistakes. And okay, we made a couple of mistakes ourselves to concede twice, and hopefully they don't happen again tomorrow. But nevertheless, we still pushed Tottenham Hotspur. It wasn't it was a different Everton performance. Like I said, it wasn't an Everton performance which you looked at and you thought, oh, we're going to get absolutely steamrolled here. We stepped up to them and we matched them, and in fact we were better than them. Let's be honest, on the day last Friday we were much better than Tottenham Hotspur. They only managed to get a point off of the basis that we made two stupid mistakes, and we have to do that again tomorrow. Ultimately we have to turn up and we have to stand up to Arsenal. We have to get at them, we have to put pressure on them, we have to make sure that we're on their players' toes. And look, Arsenal are a team with quality in their side. Yes, they haven't had the best season, and yes, their manager's been brought into question on a number of occasions this season, but they've still got a lot of quality in and around that side, even with the recent injury news, which is that Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Alexander Lacazette will be out of tomorrow's game. I think there's a couple of other players that are injured as well for Arsenal, so their two main strikers at the forefront of their attack are out and are injured and won't be available, but they've still got the likes of Martin Ødegaard, who's come in on loan this season from Real Madrid, who's had a relatively good season, seems to be given that creative spark to Arsenal at the moment. They've got the likes of Bakary Saka, who's a fantastic young player. I think he's brilliant, absolutely fantastic, certainly one of England's best young players, and has had a fantastic season so far himself. They've obviously still got the likes of Pepe, who again, okay, he mightn't be as consistent as they would like, but he's still got that quality in the key areas when needed to have it. So Arsenal, they've got the likes of Gabriel Martinelli as well. Nearly forgot to mention him. Really like the look of Gabriel Martinelli. I think he should be playing week in, week out for Arsenal, to be perfectly honest with you. I think he's got that quality to play consistently for that Arsenal team. He doesn't play consistently for that Arsenal team, because they put a lot of faith, a lot of trust in Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and Alexander Lacazette, and I don't blame the manager in that decision, because those two players are paid an awful lot of money to do what they do. So obviously they're going to be in there over Gabriel Martinelli, but I think Martinelli's a good little player. So they've still got a lot of quality in attack for Everton to be wary of, and ultimately Everton have to be better defensively tomorrow night. We can't perform defensively tomorrow like we did against Tottenham Hotspur, because you can't make those types of mistakes in games. That Tottenham game was a 6-pointer. It was a 6-pointer in the race for Europe, and I know it seems mad to talk about the race for Europe now because of everything that's gone on recently, and we don't even know whether Arsenal and Tottenham will be allowed in the European competitions next season. The assumption is they will be, because we haven't heard anything yet, and given on what UEFA have said about the clubs that have rejoined UEFA, it seems like they're not going to punish any of them, to be honest with you, because they seem quite happy with them, which is weird. But we, again, like I said, we really don't know. So all we can go off at the moment is that Arsenal are currently sitting in 9th place in the Premier League, 3 points behind Everton, 13 wins, 7 draws and 12 losses. So if Arsenal beat us tomorrow, they go level on points with us, so automatically they're in that race for Europe as well. Tottenham Hotspur, again, won yesterday, obviously managed to get a 2-1 victory, went behind to Southampton but pulled it back. So this is a must-win for Everton, an absolute must-win. And ultimately, look, I said after the Tottenham game, maybe that's our European title, maybe that's our European challenge over with now. The fact that we didn't get the 3 points then, the fact that we couldn't take an advantage and leapfrog over Tottenham and put ourselves in the driver's seat really in that race for Europe, maybe that's our European challenge over. But Carlo Ancelotti doesn't believe that. Carlo Ancelotti's had his pre-game press conference today. He spoke about still believing that we're in that race, believing that we're in that fight, wanting to go till the very end and wanting to compete until the very end. So it's clear that Carlo Ancelotti and the players still believe that they're in a real fight for Europe now. And obviously with Tottenham winning the other day, Liverpool dropped points on Monday was it, against Monday I think it might have been, against Leeds United. It sort of is imperative that Everton win tomorrow if we're going to continue in this fight. And look, like I said, if we don't get the 3 points, it is going to seem like another one of those seasons where we're all sort of sitting back going, we've had fantastic parts, we've had brilliant moments. The Derby win was great, Tottenham away was great, Tottenham in the cup was brilliant, but ultimately in terms of league position we've still ended up finishing outside of the European places. So I would hope that from now on, between now and the end of the season, the motivation is there. It's at the forefront of every player's mind to go out and perform, because look, ultimately Everton are a better team than Arsenal at the moment, and I'm sorry if there's any Arsenal fans watching that don't like that, and that might come to bite me on the arse tomorrow, but Everton are a better side than Arsenal. Everton are a better side than Tottenham. We played Tottenham last week and they had nothing. They had absolutely nothing. If it wasn't for two ridiculous defensive mistakes that allowed Harry Kane, one of the most, if not the most clinical strikers in the world, to have the ball dropped on his feet 5 yards away from goal, then we'd have gone on and won that game. And my expectation is that we go on and win this game tomorrow as well. I mean, certainly given some of the injuries that Arsenal have got, their two main strikers out injured, and I know they've got quality in the likes of Gabriel Martinelli and Saka and Odegaard, etc., but they're not the quality that's playing week in, week out for Arsenal. These aren't the players that, well, certainly not Gabriel Martinelli. He isn't the leading striker that's that they pay, 300 grand a week or whatever. So Everton have to take advantage of Arsenal's injuries, and ultimately what I want to see from Everton tomorrow is us turning up and fighting and showing that grit. I want the same performance as we got against Tottenham Hotspur. I want Everton to turn up and be on Arsenal's toes, put the pressure on Arsenal, get at them. Don't sit back and look. We might see a different type of performance because we're away from home. We might see us sitting back and maybe trying to hit Arsenal on the counter-attack like we have done on a number of occasions in away games this season, and to be fair, it's worked on a number of occasions in away games as well. But I just hope that we turn up and we bring the game to Arsenal, because we've got quality in ourselves. Carlo Ancelotti's had his pre-game press conference today. He's given us an injury update on the players that are available for this one. He said Dominic Calvert-Lewin is back, available and fit. Andre Gomez is back. Yerry Mina is back, which is massive for me, because I still stick with my opinion that if Yerry Mina would have been on that pitch against Tottenham last Friday, we wouldn't have conceded those 2 goals, because aerially he's our best defender. Aerially is such a presence. Look at the likes of Bernard back, Fabian Delph back, who doesn't mean much. It's only Abdoulaye Doucouré and Ben Godfrey that are out injured. So for me, Everton are going to be able to field a strong team tomorrow, and we'll go through my predicted starting 11 shortly and see who I'm going to put in there. But Everton should be able to field a pretty strong team tomorrow, and a team that's strong enough to go out and get the 3 points, and ultimately that's got to be the aim. If we really want to start, if the belief is there from the players, if the belief is there from the manager about finishing in a European place and playing in the Europa League next season, then we seriously have to start going out and winning, because 3 draws on the bounce isn't helping our case whatsoever. And I know the last one was against Tottenham, who were a fellow challenger in this fight for Europe, but they went out and they won, yesterday or the day before yesterday, whenever it was. So we have to go out and we have to win tomorrow. Now it's imperative that we do go out and win it. And look, like I said, Arsenal are a decent side, and we haven't beaten Arsenal at Emirates for however long, but if there's any season to smash that record out the window, it's this one. Look, we've had many a records. We hadn't beaten Spurs away from home for years. We hadn't beaten Liverpool away from home for 22 years, and we went and absolutely smashed them out the window. So hopefully it's the same again. Hopefully it's the same again tomorrow. You look at Arsenal's recent results, 2-1 at home to Fulham last weekend, and they were absolutely dross. They were absolutely awful. I watched the game live, and to be fair, they were lucky to get a 1-1 draw, to be honest with you. In fact, even the goal that they scored within the last 5 or 10 seconds of the game, or whatever it was a little bit dubious. It could have been called for offside, because I think it's Rob Holding goes towards the ball and he involves himself, but the referees decided to just ignore it for some reason. So they were very, very lucky to come away from that game with a point against a side in Fulham who were fighting relegation. They beat Sheffield United the week before. They lost to Liverpool the week before that. They had that draw with West Ham 3-3 with 3-0 down at half time, come back to draw 3-3, and then they beat Spurs the week before that. They've had a couple of European wins in between those fixtures as well. So they're not on the worst run of form. They haven't had many losses in the past sort of few weeks or so, but they haven't had many wins either. Certainly not against the sides that are fighting in and around them in the table. I mean, the last win against a side that are in the top 10, 15 was what, Spurs, drew with West Ham, lost to Liverpool, drew with Fulham, and beat Sheffield United, who obviously are already relegated. So again, this is a game that Everton absolutely have to be looking to win. We absolutely have to be looking to go out there and get the 3 points. And obviously Arsenal were one of those sides that were agreed to go and join the Super League, and like I said, I don't want to talk too much about it because it's a preview to the Arsenal game. It's nothing to do with the Super League today, but I don't know, maybe there'll be a little bit of a hidden motivation in the Everton players to go out and maybe show Arsenal, as a football club, really, why they're not better than anybody else. And look, I don't know, and again, I feel really sorry for, if there's any Arsenal fans watching or in the comments, I feel sorry, because it's not the Arsenal fans' fault in the same way as that it's not Liverpool fans' fault, it's not Chelsea fans' fault, and I applaud, and absolutely respect every football fan, no matter who you support, especially if you support those, 6 clubs that were involved, standing up against your clubs, and whether it being going and protesting, whether it being putting banners outside the stadiums, whether it being showing you disgust on social media. I applaud every single football fan that has done that, and Arsenal fans have done that as well. There was protests in London regarding it, so I understand that, and I respect it. But maybe in terms of for the players and for the manager, maybe Carlo Ancelotti will just say to these players, look, these are a supposed super club. These have put themselves, above you in terms of thinking that they're better than you as a club, not the fans, not the players. But maybe that's a little bit of hidden motivation for Everton to turn up tomorrow and beat Arsenal and show Arsenal, oh, you know what, you know better than any of us, you know better than us. We're a better side than you. We've got more quality, and we're going to go out and we're going to win this game. And like I said, if that belief is there within that squad that Carlo Ancelotti speaks about in terms of wanting to finish in Europe, then we simply have to do that. We have to go out and win. If you're enjoying, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Let me know how you are all feeling today. You're excited for this one. You're confident. You're feeling, I don't know, you're feeling nervous. How are you feeling ahead of this one? Don't forget to share the stream as well on social media. Try and get as many people involved as possible. Let's get into the live comments then and see what people are saying. El Tudor says, Vamos Cam, saludos amigo, cheers mate, cheers from Everton Azul. Is right mate, is right. Max says your starting 11. We'll go through it in a moment. Everton as El Tudor says Vamos Everton. Wayne says Cam lad, how's everyone doing? I'm all good mate. Hope you're doing well yourself. El Tudor says Pickford, Coleman, Mina, Godfrey, Dean, Davis, Alan, Sigurdsson, James, DCL and Richie. Very, very interesting. We'll go through mine shortly. Gort says, I just hope Everton show up and perform together. Well, that's it, mate. Ultimately, that's what we've got to do. Wimmy says there's going to be a points deduction. We will finish in the Champions League spots. I'm going to die laughing. He also says, hey, Gort. Gort says, hey, Wimmy. Yeah, if there is a points deduction and we do finish in the Champions League spots, how amazing would that be? How good would it be? But again, at this moment, that's not really being spoke about, and to be honest, I don't expect it to be a points deduction. I really don't. I do want to sit down and talk about why I don't believe the Premier League and UEFA will punish these clubs, just my opinion, but we'll do that on a different day. We might sit down tomorrow before the game and do that. Wayne says, what was the thinking over your side, Gort, on the Super League, seeing sports work very differently over there? Gort says, my opinion on the Super League is that it's a bad idea, and I just hate that they pin it on the American owners when a majority of the Super League club owners aren't American. You're spot on there, mate. You're spot on. Florentino Perez, Roman Abramovich, Sheikh Mansour, I can't remember the Juventus fella's name, but all non-American owners who were all involved and all signed the same document, by the way. So let's not fall for all of this bollocks of, oh, we made the mistake, we were forced into it. They all signed 140 odd page documents agreeing to that, whether they were forced into it or not. These are multi-billionaire owners. They could have turned around and gone, no, hang on, we don't believe in that. Ed Woodward's come out today apparently and said he walked from Manchester United because he didn't agree with the Super League. He didn't agree with the Super League. He used to work for JP Morgan, who was sponsoring the Super League. He was probably forefront of those negotiations for the Super League. They think they can just kid us with the bullshit, but you can see right through it. May says, does the 51% rule really work? We've seen how Barcelona and Madrid have a member-owned board system, and it didn't stop Madrid being the main instigators. And he said, yeah, the Americans are brainwashed because they have no relegation rule in America. Philip says, yo, Worms there, hey all. And Wormy says, I would hazard Gorge the idea come from Real Madrid Slimeball, but the American owners may have had a hand in the format, but I meant American fans generally, because you guys have draft and trade. And Gorge says, I think MLS could implement some of each other's rules. There's an article, and Europe could implement some of each other's rules. There's an article on The Athletic that talks about that. In terms of the 51% rule, just my thoughts of 50 pence on it. It works brilliantly in Germany. It works absolutely fantastically in Germany. Yes, it's a little bit... It's a little bit screwed in Spanish, in terms of obviously Real Madrid have part owned by fans and Barcelona are part owned by fans as well. But in terms of Germany, it very much is that if the fans vote against something, that's it. They voted against it. It's not happening. And if you vote for it and everybody else votes for it, then that's sound. But you could have every billionaire backer, every player, every member of staff, every the manager of Bayern Munich come out and say, yes, we vote for this. And if those 51% of fans turn around and go, yeah, we don't want it, then it's not happening. And I think that's how it should be. It won't be like that. It'll never be like that, because that would that would just cause so many issues, and there'd be there'd be uproar with it, certainly given how much money's in the Premier League and how much money's in English football, but that's how it should be, in my opinion. That's how I'd want it to be. We will get back in the live comments shortly, by the way. Big thanks to everybody for getting involved. If you're new, don't forget to subscribe. Let's get back onto the game then. As Gort said before, sorry, not Gort, as we were talking about in the live comments before, I think Yerry said it, there's a real possibility that these sides could get point deductions, and there's a real possibility that these sides could leave spaces, even without point deductions, by the way. If UEFA turns around and says, right, we're going to ban them from Europe for a year, Everton would still be in that conversation for the Champions League. But I don't want to get too caught up with that, because like I said, in my personal opinion, I honestly don't see UEFA doing that. They might give them a slap on the wrist, they might give them a little fine, they might give them a telling off, they might say, oh, you're banned from competing in, I don't know, the FA Cup or something like that, but they certainly won't ban them competing in the big competitions, because it cost them a lot of money. So I'm not holding out on that. So I'm gonna act as if the last 74 hours, 72 hours, whatever, hasn't happened in football, and we're still in the same place as we were after Friday's game against Spurs. And ultimately, that place is that I honestly feel that Everton, it might be a stretch too far for Everton now to go and, finishing that in those European positions. If we do want to finish in those European positions, it's no good talking about having the belief and having the grit and having the determination. It's about results now. It is about results. And earlier on in the season, we saw Everton not performing very well, not playing lovely football. It wasn't entertaining to watch. In fact, it was really difficult to watch. I remember watching the Sheffield United game on Boxing Day. It was shocking to watch. I remember watching Southampton a few weeks back, West Brom a few weeks back, even the Chelsea and Arsenal game at Goodison Park. Whilst that was great to watch because the fans were there, it was bloody hard to watch because, there was about, I don't know, 10, 15 times in each game where you're holding your breath thinking, oh my God, are we going to concede here? So those games back in, again in December and a few weeks back, it was about results then. And football is always about results, but more so than ever now. And I know we all want Everton to play really, really well. And I know we all want Everton to turn up and beat teams 4 or 5-0 and show this amazing level of football. And I also understand that in the past 2 weeks, we've seen both sides of Everton. We've seen Everton turn up and play quite well against Tottenham and actually get at them and put pressure on them and try and force them into mistakes, and we didn't win that game. And we've seen Everton sit back and be absolutely dreadful against Brighton, and we didn't win that game either. So I understand that, we saw like both sides of Everton in recent weeks, but ultimately at this point in the season, if we have that belief that we're still in that fight for Europe, it's just about results tomorrow. So as much as I'd like Everton to go out and absolutely slap Arsenal 3 or 4-0, and then we could all sit here and go, yeah, you know what, that was a brilliant result, that brilliant performance. As long as I'm sitting here on Monday afternoon, Monday morning, saying, do you know what, wasn't the great, I'll happily sit here and say, I was bored out my head, it wasn't the greatest performance, but we got the win. As long as we got the win, because we were all sitting here on Friday night and Monday last week, or the start of this week, saying, although Everton were a lot better, we still didn't win the game, and we still made 2 really awful defensive mistakes that cost us the game. So ultimately, football is a results business. It is a results business, and Everton have to start picking up results now. Everton have to start winning games if you want to finish in those European places next season, because teams like Tottenham are winning games, and I know obviously they were on a bad run of form, but they turned up and they beat Southampton last night. Arsenal prior to this obviously beating Sheffield United, obviously due to Fulham. Liverpool are seeming to be now picking up points. They were winning games before obviously the Leeds result. West Ham still are involved and winning games of football. So Everton need to start winning now. Everton really need to start prioritising results. And as much as we all want to see great performances, that's all well and good. To be honest, at this point in the season, I just want us to win games. So I'm not really bothered how it goes tomorrow. I'm not really bothered if we sit back for 90 minutes. And ultimately, I wouldn't want that. I'd like to see us go at Arsenal, and I think we need to go at Arsenal. But I just want us to get the result, to be honest. And in terms of how we'll set up and how we'll play, we'll do my predicted starting 11 in a moment. But I think we need to adopt the same sort of system as we did against Tottenham, to be perfectly honest with you. I think we need to get at Arsenal. I think we need to put them on the toes. I think we need to force them into mistakes, because this is an Arsenal team that isn't full of superstars. Although they might think they're full of superstars and they can go and make their own super boss, new, fantastic league, all of this and all of that. Luke says, hello boys, sorry I'm late, was at my first driving lesson. Is right, Luke, I hope it all went well, mate, and I hope driving goes well in general for you. Big up yourself for getting involved and everyone else. Caden says, haven't won in a month. Exactly. So we need to just start picking up points now. We need to just start winning games. And if you were to say to me, Cam, would you take a performance like the Sheffield United one tomorrow night against Arsenal? I'd say absolutely. Even though it was dreadful for 80 minutes, we managed to get the winning goal and we went and we won the game. It's all about winning. But I think in terms of how we play tomorrow, I think we can get at Arsenal, to be honest with you. I think we do need to be wary of their counter-attack, because even without the likes of Aubameyang and Lacazette, they've still got pace in that counter-attack. In Pepe, Saka, who we mentioned before, they've got that little bit of quality in Martin Ødegaard, who can create things. They've got Gabriel Martinelli, who can finish. Let's be realistic here. It's no good. I'm not going to lie, when I saw the news that Alexander Lacazette and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang were out yesterday, I was like, that's a boost for Everton. But I also sort of thought, well, they've got Martinelli, who can finish. They've got Pepe, who's got that pace. They've got Saka, who's got that pace. They've got Ødegaard, who creates. So this is still a threat. This is an Arsenal with a threat. It's not like we're talking about Everton when we have Dom and Richie injured and we've got bloody Cenk Tosun to call back from Besiktas on loan and start. This is still an Arsenal team with quality. So we do have to be aware of them. But I get we do have to be aware of them, and I get that Carlo Ancelotti might sort of prioritise the counter-attacking football and the sitting back until we've got the chance and then breaking on them. But if there's one thing Everton haven't been in recent weeks, it's particularly we haven't been clinical. We haven't, and I know Gylfi Sigurdsson, scored a couple of goals on Friday, and I thought he was excellent. I thought he was, and his second goal is an absolute beautiful finish. It really, really is. Other than that game, and even in that game, James missed chances, Richarlison missed chances, Josh King missed chances. Over the last few weeks or so, I'd say maybe 3, 4, 5 weeks, we haven't really been that clinical. We weren't clinical in the Palace game at all. We missed stupid amounts of opportunities in which we could have won that game. We didn't have many chances in the game against Brighton, but the one, the couple that we didn't put away. So for us to perform and for us to adopt that counter-attacking style and hit Arsenal on the break and hit them when the opportunity comes, we have to be clinical, because in that system and in that style, you don't get many chances. And that's why it worked so well early on in the season. It worked against Leicester away from home perfectly. It worked against Arsenal at Goodison. It worked against Chelsea at Goodison. But it worked then because at that point in the season, I think statistically, Everton were the most clinical team in the league in terms of how many shots and chances we created to how many goals we'd scored. I think we had the best average. I think we were technically, because I remember it coming up on one of the games. I can't remember which game it was, but I remember it flashing up as a stat that Everton had the most clinical side in the Premier League in terms of chances created and goals scored. So at that point, when we were hitting teams on the counter attack and we were sitting back and we were inviting pressure, defending really well and hitting teams on the counter, we were clinical. We're not that clinical anymore for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know if Dom's lost his shooting boots. I don't know if Richarlison's, he hasn't had a great season altogether, to be honest with you. But we aren't that clinical at the moment. So maybe that style isn't going to work. Also, back in December when we played Arsenal and we were doing brilliantly at defending against these sides and hitting them on the counter-attack. We were defending fantastically. Defensively, we were brilliant. We had Godfrey at left-back, Mina and Keane at centre-half, and we had Mason Holgate at right back, and we were defending absolutely fantastically. We weren't making mistakes. There was no individual errors. There was no mistakes. It was consistent brilliant defensive performance week in, week out. Not like that anymore. We've seen against Tottenham last week, 2 defensive mistakes have cost us the 3 points. We saw it against Crystal Palace a week before that. Defensive mistake cost us the 3 points in that game. So, for me, I'd like Everton to stand up tomorrow to Arsenal and get at them, get on their toes, force them into making mistakes, put the pressure on them, don't allow them all the time on the ball, go and force them into thinking, actually, we've got a game on our hands here. As much as I'd take sitting back for 90 minutes and hitting them on the counter-attack once, scoring and winning, obviously I'd take that, but ideally, I'd like Everton to show our quality a little bit tomorrow, because we proved out against Tottenham that we can. We proved against Tottenham that we can get at teams and we can put pressure on them, and so I'd like us to go and do it again tomorrow. We'll get into our predicted starting 11 in a second. If you're enjoying, by the way, please do hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Really, really do appreciate all of the support. Wayme says, I'm playoffs. May says, MLS has trash rules. Ramiel says, does the MLS work like collegiate drafts into the teams? Guessing there's no relegation. Mike says no relegation in any US sport. It's the owner's fault, period. May says maybe these clubs should consolidate expenses rather than demanding more revenue. Philip says hopefully we'll turn up. Arsenal deserve a real battering. Hope we hammer them. Well, again, every club that was involved in that deserves a real battering. And obviously we seen Tottenham pull through yesterday, we saw Manchester City pull through. Both of those clubs conceded and had difficult games, but they both pulled through. So hopefully Arsenal are the first one of those clubs that suffered to a defeat. I just hope Everton go out and like I said, I don't think the European Super League will be of conversation to Carlo Ancelotti. I don't think it'll be something that he prioritises in his team talk, but maybe it's worth a mention. Maybe it's worth Carlo Ancelotti just to give that little bit of, that little bit of momentum, that little bit of hunger in the players, just to say, this is the Arsenal team. These, I know it wasn't the players or the manager, but this is the club who believed that they were a lot better than you and looked down on you as just another team in the Premier League and showed that they didn't really care about the Premier League. So, but again, maybe he won't say that because, again, it wasn't the players, it wasn't the manager's fault, so maybe that wouldn't work, I don't know. Maybe says there will be a 12 to 20 point deduction plus fines. I'd like to hope so, mate, but I'm not confident that there will be. God says the reason there's no relegation in US sports is because basically you have to pay a big fee to get a club. The MLS is a single entity, so basically the owners invest in the MLS and the MLS allows the owners to invest in the club. There you go. Mike says in the US, owners have gotten away with moving clubs around from city to city with no concern for the supporters. Philip says there won't be any punishment whatsoever. Tub says we're winning this. And Wimmy says so it's like a playoff goal. So is there a playoff goal? There you go. We will get back into the live comments in a moment. Big thanks to everybody for getting involved. Like I said, if you're involved and you're enjoying, please do leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe as well. Anyway, let's get into my predicted starting 11 then. Really important game, this one. Like I said, one that Everton must win. Difficult one, but certainly one I'm not really afraid of. I'm not scared of Arsenal. I'm not worried about Arsenal. Do I think Arsenal could turn up and beat Everton? Yes, I do. Of course I do, but I'm an Everton fan, so if we were playing Brighton, if we were playing Burnley, if we were playing Birmingham, if we were playing Watford, I'd sit here and say they could turn up and beat Everton because anyone can turn up and beat Everton. But anyway, let's get into our predicted starting 11. In goal, I've gone for Jordan Pickford. Obviously come back in against Tottenham Hotspur after spending quite some time out injured. I think he done well, to be honest with you. Don't think you could criticise him for either of the goals. Don't think he was at fault for either of the goals. And yeah, look, Jordan's had quite an up and down season, hasn't he? Let's be perfectly honest with you. But since he's returned and since the Merseyside derby especially, I think he's put in certainly more better performances than he has worse. And that performance in the Merseyside derby was absolutely exceptional. And his performance in the 2 or 3 games that followed was absolutely exceptional as well. He then picked up an injury and he's only just returning now. Don't think he had an awful lot to do against Tottenham. As I said before, Tottenham Hotspur were gifted 2 goals and didn't do anything else in the game. So Jordan Pickford had a pretty quiet night, to be fair to him. But now it's I think he'll start on Friday night, tomorrow night. Back line then. Look, I've contradicted myself. Well, I haven't contradicted myself. I've gone with the back 5 because I think Carlo Ancelotti will go with the back 5. I don't like back 5s. I don't want to see a back 5. I don't think Everton can play a back 5. I just don't think Everton are comfortable in a back 5 whatsoever. I really, really, really don't. I just think Michael Keane struggles in it. I think Mason Holgate struggles in it. I even think maybe, Ben Godfrey and even Yerry Mina. I don't think they struggle as much as the other two. The other two really struggle in it. But I just don't think they're as comfortable as in a back 4. But the reality of the situation is Carlo Ancelotti is likely to go with the back 5 because if he can go to the back 5, then our wide support comes from the wing backs in Seamus Coleman and Luca Dean, who, obviously, certainly Seamus Coleman in recent weeks has been very, very good. If you go with the back 4, then you're having to play wide players, wingers, wide forward players, and while that's all well and good when you're looking at your left-hand side and you're thinking, right, we've got Richarlison there, you then look at your right-hand side and you think, well, who comes in and plays on that right-hand side to not only be effective going forward, but also provide Seamus Coleman with some defensive help as well, and there's nobody there. We haven't got 2 wingers, and I don't even really want to see Richarlison on the wing, to be honest with you. I'd rather see Richarlison playing as a striker. I know Josh King's there, and Josh King could potentially be available, but look, again, I've predicted Josh King to start in so many games over the last couple of months or so, and he hasn't started in one of them. And you think about some of the games that he could have well started in, and some of the games that Dom's missed out on or Richarlison's missed out on. I mean, Josh King would be a perfect opportunity for Josh King to start against Arsenal, against Tottenham, with Dominic Calvert-Lewin being injured, and then Richarlison to play up top with Josh King, but he didn't. So I honestly, I don't think Josh King will start. I really, really don't. And like I said, you take Josh King out the equation. You've got Hammers who can play there, but let's be honest, we'd all rather see Hammers playing the 10. You've got Iwobi that's played there, but let's be honest, Iwobi's that's not his best position, as he'll tell you himself. You've got Bernard who can play there, but really is Bernard consistent enough? So I think Carlo Ancelotti will go with a back five, because I think he'd rather go with 2 up front and then the wide sort of support coming from Dean and Coleman. And to be honest, it worked. It worked on Friday against Tottenham Hotspur. I think we performed quite well using that style and that formation. And don't get me wrong, I don't think Alex Iwobi had a particularly great game, but certainly when Seamus Coleman come on, I thought it worked well. So I'm going to go with Luca Dean at left back again. Pretty self-explanatory. Don't really need to say much more about that. Luca Dean for me is the best left back in the country. He's one of the best left backs in world football. He's had a good season this season. He hasn't been involved in goals as much. I don't think he's scored a goal this season, so maybe this is the time for Luca Dean to pop up and bury one. He's certainly due one, but he's absolutely exceptional, of course, and I don't need to sit here and explain why Luca Dean's in my predicted starting 11. I've then gone with Yerry Mina, Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey as the centre halves. Yes, Michael Keane is in there. Yes, Michael Keane was at fault for certainly one of the 2 goals on Friday, potentially even both of the 2 goals, to be honest. I think him and Mason Holgate were both at fault for both of them. But ultimately, I think out of the 2 of them, and if Carlo is going to go with this, and if Carlo goes with a 4 at the back, then sound Yerry Mina and Ben Godfrey in there. Yerry Mina for me is our best centre half out of him, Keane and Mina. Out of him, Keane and Holgate, and Ben Godfrey is arguably one of our, well, not even arguably, he is one of our best players, and he's been our best signing of the season in my opinion so far. So he has to be in there. But I just think he'll go with a 5 at the back again. So I've gone with Michael Keane in there. Look, needs to improve drastically. Do I think he will improve with Mina next to him? I do. I think although even when Yerry Mina's next to Michael Keane in a back 5, Michael Keane still doesn't look, as confident as he does in a back 4. I think when Yerry Mina's next to him, he looks a lot better than when Mason Holgate's next to him. I think maybe Michael Keane feels like he's got a little bit of responsibility for Mason Holgate. I don't know why, but I think he maybe just feels like he's got to do a little bit of looking over his shoulder and looking out when Mason's on the pitch next to him. Whereas when Yerry Mina's on the pitch, his aerial presence is absolutely exceptional. For me, he's arguably been our best centre half this year. And Carlo Ancelotti, of course, has said that he's fit for this game. So Yerry Mina goes straight back in. I have Michael Keane next to him, and then Ben Godfrey next to him again. No explanations needed with Ben Godfrey. He's been absolutely unbelievable so far this season. I've gone with Seamus Coleman on the right hand side. Again, like I said, when you talk about right backs, when you talk about options at right back, we have none other than Seamus Coleman. Alex Iwobi isn't a right wing back. He's not a right back. He shouldn't be playing there. So again, Seamus goes there, but not just out of because we've got nobody else either. Seamus Coleman has been very, very good in recent weeks. Very, very good. The last 2 or 3 games he's come on and he's had an impact. Obviously come on against Tottenham Hotspur. Got the assist for Gylfi Sigurdsson's second goal. Absolutely unbelievable assist. He also had he come on against Brighton, I think, and got forward and tried to create opportunities. He got forward against Crystal Palace and created opportunities as well. So again, your Seamus Coleman not only in there because we've got nobody else, he's in there because he's had 2 or 3 really, really good games on the bounce. Obviously, he didn't start the game against Tottenham as well. So the hope is that, having that extra 60-70 minutes on the bench that he did in the game against Spurs, that he's now back to full fitness and ready to go again tomorrow night, because we need him. Ultimately, we need him. We've got nobody else that can play that position, and he's arguably been our biggest threat from wide areas in recent weeks. Seamus Coleman, he's been fantastic. I know we've had Hammers and Gylfi who've performed well, but certainly from wide areas, I think Seamus has been absolutely fantastic in recent weeks. So that's my back line. I've gone with Jordan Pickford in goal. I've gone with Luca Dean at left back, Mina, Keane and Godfrey at centre half, and Seamus Coleman at right back. Into the midfield then, one player misses out who is very, very unfortunate to miss out in this situation, and to be fair, I do feel a little bit bad on him because he was absolutely excellent against Tottenham, and he was the reason in which is why we got a point, and that's Gylfi Sigurdsson, unfortunately, and I will talk about it and I will explain my reasons for that in a moment. But I've gone for Alan and Tom Davies with Hammers in the number 10. Look, Gylfi misses out, and it's unfortunate, and I know Gylfi Sigurdsson and James Rodriguez both work together really, really well. against Tottenham, and they did. They combined fantastically well, and there's an argument that they should both start again in that formation, playing fantastically well. But the reality with the Tottenham game is we didn't have Dominic Calvert-Lewin on the pitch, because Dominic Calvert-Lewin was injured. So the conundrum that Carlo Ancelotti's got now, and I suppose the question we all ask ourselves is, does Carlo Ancelotti continue with that James-Sigurdsson partnership that worked fantastically well against Tottenham, or does he put Dominic Calvert-Lewin back in? I don't think he can do both, to be honest with you, because I think if he does both, you've then got to sacrifice either Davis or Allan, or you've got to play a back four. I don't think he'll play a back four, and if he sacrifices either Davis or Allan, I think it leaves us far too exposed defensively. So I've gone with Allan and Davis anyway. Let's talk about them for a second. I think both had a decent game against Tottenham. Allan was absolutely fantastic, absolutely unbelievable. It was the Allan of the old times. It felt like the Allan at the start of the season, where he'd come in and he was just so demanding. He was brilliant. He was everywhere. He was winning balls back. He was, he was putting pressure on defenders. He was bringing the ball forward. He was just absolutely excellent, and we hadn't seen that type of Allan performance since he'd returned from injury, because he returned from injury, he was thrown in the deep end quite quickly, obviously because of Abdoulaye Doucouré's injury, so we had to sort of throw Allan back in, and didn't really get that time to recuperate and pick his feet up and find his way again. Whereas on Friday night against Tottenham, I thought he was absolutely exceptional. So Allan's in there. Tom Davies again, I thought he was quite well. He played quite well against Tottenham. Wasn't as good as Allan, shall we say, but certainly had a decent game, got involved, brought the ball forward, won the ball back a couple of times. And then James Rodriguez, like I said, it is ultimately a toss-up between James Rodriguez and Gylfi Sigurdsson, but when you put the pair of them next to each other, I just think James has got that. Gylfi Sigurdsson, don't get me wrong, had a fantastic game against Tottenham, and he did. He scored the goal, and Superstato will be absolutely fuming with me. He was already in my mentions on Twitter yesterday, having a go at me for something. I think I tweeted out that Gylfi Sigurdsson had been involved in the FIFA Ultimate Team of the Week, and there's Superstato in my mentions having a go at me for some reason. Don't know, bit strange, but again, like I said, you've now got Dominic Calvert-Lewin back, so it is unfortunate for Gylfi, but ultimately, if Carlo Ancelotti lined up tomorrow and James Rodriguez is on the bench and Gylfi Sigurdsson's in the starting 11, I think we're all sort of sitting there going, well, why isn't James involved? No issue with Gylfi, but why isn't James involved? And the reality is, and the likelihood is, that Dominic Calvert-Lewin's likely to start as well. So anyway, I've gone with James. I think he's absolutely unbelievable footballer himself, as well as Allan on Friday, back to his best. Absolutely brilliant performance, getting involved, creating chances, getting forward, just an absolute midfield maestro, taking control of the game. He was just absolutely brilliant. He was. And it was the type of James Rodriguez performance that we've come to sort of adore at Everton Football Club, and it's the type of James Rodriguez performance that we all know wins us games of football and creates us chances that wins us games of football. So James is in the 10, and then up front I've gone with Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison as a partnership. I think Richarlison, obviously, again, he missed another couple of opportunities against Tottenham, and I think with Richie is, for me anyway, he's wanted to play up front all season. I think he prefers to play up front. I think he prefers playing as a striker rather than a winger, to be honest with you. But when he's played up front this season, the majority of the time it's been on his own. And when Everton and when Carlo Ancelotti adopts this formation in this style where it's just one striker, unless there's wingers there, what I'm saying is the five at the back with the one striker, it usually means it's just everybody here, and then either Dominic Calvert-Lewin or Richarlison sort of here, and everybody just lumps the ball up to one of those two, whichever one's on the pitch, and they have to hold it up and do all of the work. I don't think that's what Richarlison quite means by when he says he wants to play striker. I think what he means is a little bit like it was towards the back end of last season, where he was playing next to Dominic Calvert-Lewin directly as a split striker, and I think some of Richarlison's best Everton performances have been in that formation when him and Dominic Calvert-Lewin are playing right up against each other as split strikers, and they're both able to feed off each other. Dom's able to win the ball back in the air, win the headers, get them onto Richarlison. Richarlison's able to pick them up, sort of get forward, take those chances, because Richarlison's a very, very good finisher of the ball, even though he hasn't been on great form recently, and he's missed a couple of silly chances recently. He's still a very, very good finisher of a football, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a very good difficult finisher of a football, if that makes sense, i.e. the hard chances he usually scores, the balls that are flying into the box, he gets his head on the end of and he scores. But when it's a one-on-one in front of a goalkeeper, more often than not, he struggles. More often than not, he throws the chance, and that's where you need somebody like a Richarlison, who, okay, in recent weeks maybe hasn't been as composed in front of goal, but more often than not in his Everton career, he's had that composure in front of goal, one-on-one with the keeper. So for me, I just really want to see them both. I really want to see them both playing up top. I really want to see them both playing as, sort of off each other as a split striker, and hopefully we can expose Arsenal's defence, because let's be honest, Arsenal's defence isn't anything special. They've got the likes of Gabriel in there, who's made constant mistakes throughout this season. They've got the likes of Callum Chambers in there, who again, I'm not quite convinced by. They've got Rob Holding in there, who I'm not quite convinced by either. So Arsenal's defence, I think, is as susceptible to making stupid mistakes as Everton's defence is, and Everton's defence needs to massively improve tomorrow. We can't be making those mistakes that we did against Spurs. We simply can't. But we need to expose Arsenal's if they do, because ultimately this isn't the global superpower that they might think they are. This is a bang average, Premier League team, and if Everton can make a statement tomorrow, Everton can make a real statement. Go out, turn up, pull your socks up, work hard, give it 110%. And go and win this game of football. Like I said before, I don't care if I win it if we win it comfortably, or we win it with a last second goal and we've played awfully. I don't really care. Just go out and win this game of football. Go out and put ourselves right in that mix for European football. Because if we don't win tomorrow, or if we lose tomorrow, I think the European fight is done for, really. Because I think all of the other teams around us, i.e. your Tottenham, your Liverpool, your West Ham, your Chelsea, I think they'll all just start to continuously pick up points, and Everton will get left behind. We're already in real trouble of getting left behind now. If we win tomorrow, then that'll give us that little bit of momentum, hopefully, to go on between now and the end of the season and get a run of results going, and then, hopefully we can pick up a result on a weekend where it's one of those other teams I've just mentioned doesn't. But tomorrow is a must win, and I'm sick of saying it because I feel like we say it every single week, and we do say it every single week, but tomorrow is an absolute must win. Anyway, that's my predicted starting 11. Let us know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. We'll get into the live comments before we finish up. If you're enjoying, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Don't forget to check out the Football News 365 app as well. Keeps you up to date with all your latest Everton news, scores, predictions, all of that good stuff. Luke says, oh yeah, I saw the Super Stato comments, thought that was odd. Yeah, again, I just had a little bit of a laugh at them, to be honest with you, mate. I don't know why he was going at me. Maybe I was just next on his agenda for people to go at. But I think he said, "This you're the same. You're the thing that's wrong with Everton. You're the same person that said that Gylfi Sigurdsson. You didn't know whether Gylfi had a good game in the game against Tottenham in the cup." Well, yeah, because although he had 3-4 goal involvements, he also was directly at fault for 2 or 3 of Tottenham's goals because he wasn't marking players at corners. So it's pretty self-explanatory, really. A lot of other Evertonians said the same, but again, let him do what he's doing. John says, haha, Super Stato went after me too. I think he's gone after everyone, to be honest. I'd be surprised if there's an Everton fan on the planet that he hasn't gone after. Maybe says, I will be happy if he just stopped playing Holgate on the left. He is garbage on the left and negates the... Yeah, I don't think Mason will play tomorrow. I don't think he'll play. I think if we play a 5, it'll be Mina, Keenan and Godfrey. If we play a 4... I think it'll probably be Mina and Godfrey, or Keane and Mina, or Keane. Godfrey's got to be in there, and I don't see Yerry Mina not being in there, to be honest. He's been brilliant. Where are we then? PJ says, Liverpool fan here to ask, would there be a part of you that will have been upset if Liverpool left the Prem, as you would miss the Merseyside derby? Certainly, because I would. You know what? I'm going to say, there's a part of me that would. There's a part of me that wouldn't either. There's a part of me that would because we won the last one. But that part of me says I wouldn't, because that would mean we won the first Merseyside derby and we won the last one. But look, I would have been disappointed to see Liverpool and the other clubs leave the Premier League, because ultimately, you live for those games. You live for those Merseyside derbies, even though we haven't been as successful. Look, let's put it this way. Everton have gone 10 years not winning a Merseyside derby before this year. 10 years, a decade. Last Merseyside derby was a Goodison, a decade. We went 22 years without winning at Anfield. Now, some would argue that 22-year wait wasn't worth it when we won in February. Some would argue that decade wait wasn't worth it when we won in February. But I remember that performance. I remember that game. I remember how I felt after that game. I remember how I felt waking up the next day. I remember how I felt waking up the next couple of days after it. Would I have been happier if we were in the stadium or we could go out and celebrate? I absolutely would, of course. But you live for those games. You live for those wins. You live for those types of big games. And I wouldn't be I wouldn't be sad if they got points deducted or if they got relegated for what they've done, because I think they deserve the punishment, to be honest with you. But leaving the Premier League, look, again, I think it destroyed football, to be honest. So ultimately, I would have been sad, because I think we can all admit, if those 6 teams would have just left and gone and created the Super League, then the Premier League would have probably fell to bits, and who knows where football would be. Anyway, Luke says, oh yeah, I saw the comment from Superstats. Oh, odd. Yeah, it's odd. Jake says, Arsenal fan gambler. No way, I bet Arsenal tomorrow. There you go. Jake also says Richarlison will skin Chambers, I'm afraid, going down the left if he plays there. We'll have to see if he plays there. Phil says, personally, I'd be over the moon to see them go. Jordan says, I would never understand why LFC would decide something that would sacrifice the Merseyside derby. Well, they decided something that was going to sacrifice the city of Merseyside. The city of Liverpool, sorry, not the city of Merseyside, the city of Liverpool. But it wasn't Liverpool, it was some billionaire owner who hasn't got a clue about this city and hasn't got a clue about football. Jake says, lacking an Aubameyang, I don't know how to say that. Shortened name. Everton can deal with Martinelli or Nketiah. Yeah, we hopefully we can deal with them, and if we can't deal with them, then we shouldn't be challenging for Europe. But they're still good players. Wayne says, I'd take the Liverpool win. We get a bit lucky? Yes, but it was a start. Yeah, look, ultimately, I think we were brilliant on that day. I think we were brilliant. Philip says, as far as I'm concerned, Hammers is our best player and must play. Wormy says, I thought maybe at one point he takes people on good with the ball at his feet, but his decision making is terrible. His passes execution is worse. More often than not, he runs into the midfield and passes to centre backs. I'm not too sure who you're talking about here. Maybe Alex Iwobi. Luke says, everyone but Gabam and Decore fit. Yes, spot on. John is Mina fit to play. He is, according to Carlo. Mike says, always has been. Luke says he's good on the ball, but just his end product is awful. I think we're talking about Iwobi maybe. Philip says King must be crap insane to not get in at all. That's it. Wormy says, as we have Mike on many occasions, when King could have played, he hasn't, so I'm guessing he won't now. Dom is back. Absolutely, mate, that's my point. That's absolutely my point. Why would he play now that Calvert-Lewin's back if he hadn't played when Calvert-Lewin wasn't back? Phil says, alright, mate, with best of luck. Luke says, I'm nowhere near, mate, I'm from down south. There you go. Well, good luck anyway, Luke, I hope it went well. Andy says, Pickford, Holgate, Mina, Godfrey, Dean, Coleman, Davis, Alan, Sigurdsson, Hammers, Richie, DCL. Mike says, eventually Wormy, but for the moment we have a few options. Philip says, just wondered if you were near me, McGull. I'd take you out, mate. Ex-instructor. There you go. Wormy says, King can get a run out in Scotland. And forgetting where the movie says, is this a must-win? It is a must-win. It absolutely is a must-win. Because if we're in that race for Europe, if we're in that fight for Europe, we've got to go and win it. Anyway, look, we're going to finish it up there then. Massive game tomorrow. Absolutely massive game. Obviously, we'll be back after it with the instant match reaction. We'll have the player ratings, of course, as well. Listen, if Everton have got that aspiration to finish in Europe still, this is probably our last chance to go out and get ourselves that win to give us that momentum to go on. If we don't win tomorrow, then I think maybe the rest of the season is just a sort of a, let's say, a roller coaster of emotions, because I do think that Europe would be one step too far then. So that's the motivation for those players. That's the motivation for Carlo Ancelotti as the manager. Go out and the motivation should also be that Arsenal aren't very good. These aren't a very good team. They're a good team. They've got good attacking options, but they're not a very good team. They're a team that we should be going out and winning. Let's be perfectly honest. So go out, give it 110%, win the game of football, and ultimately, turn up and fight, battle, get at them like we did against Tottenham, force them into making mistakes like we did against Tottenham. Louis says, yes, Cam lad is right, mate. Yes, Louis. Raimi says, boss, when Cam reads the comments and tries to figure out what we're on about because he's reading them backwards. I know, I was a little bit baffled then. Philip says, up there from Toffees, come on you Blues. Thanks, Philip. Joshua says, Arsenal don't have the strikers available, and do you think we need to win 5 out of the 10 remaining games like Ancelotti said? Yeah, probably, because it's not just about Everton winning the next 5 to 7 games, it's about the other teams winning their games or dropping points. So ultimately Everton aren't in the driver's seat for Europe now, so we have to win and hope that on certain occasions those teams around us lose. Jake says, good talk. Cheers, Jake, thank you very much. If you've enjoyed this one, please do leave a like. It only takes a second. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. Greg says we can win. We certainly can win. Let's just hope we do so. Like I said, big game tomorrow. Go out there, show you can win. show you can turn up, show you can fight, get at them, force them into making mistakes, force them into errors. This isn't a great Arsenal team, and it's also a not great Arsenal team with big injury issues as well. So go out and fight, and let's hope we can get the 3 points. We may be doing a live stream tomorrow afternoon before the game, talking a bit more about this Super League nonsense and the fact that it's now pretty much done and dusted. So if we do that, if you could join us, it would mean a great deal. Luke says the comments, he's awful and no end product. Cam must be a Wobie. I just thought you were talking about a Wobie. Might be King, I don't know. Josh said Liverpool and Spurs still have the top 4 to play. There you go as well. So in those weeks, the thing I'm sick of saying, and we say it far too often, and we've said it an awful lot recently, is, you know, in those weekends where Liverpool drop points, West Ham drop points, Arsenal drop points, Tottenham drop points, Leicester drop points, Everton also seem to drop points. So when will we get a weekend where all of these teams drop points and we go and win? Tubb says thoughts on Brandon's new contract. I think it's a good deal, mate. I've done a video yesterday announcing it and giving my initial sort of thoughts. About half an hour long. We talked about Marcel Brands and why it's a good move for the football club. But just on short, I think it's a good move. I think it gives us that stability. And now the real work for Marcel Brands starts. Now the difficult work for Marcel Brands starts. So yeah, if you want to go and check out that video, it would mean a great deal to me. Anyway, that's it. I'm leaving it there. Big thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe if you're new. Massive thanks to everybody for getting involved in the live comments. If you're watching the YouTube video, get involved in the comment section down below, and I'll get involved with as many of them as possible. We'll be back with the instant match reaction and the play ratings tomorrow night, and maybe a live stream throughout the day talking about the Super League crap as well. So there you go. Big thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.